You doing tonight? Amazing Lover, Shakespeare, your himself is in the house. Kitty Q, Mel, Lori Sutton. Good evening, Steph F. Good evening. How are we all doing on this lovely Sunday evening? I hope you are, or maybe it's Monday where you are. I don't know. I hope you're doing good. Get out the old serial killer calendar for today. Today is Carl Anthony Stainer's birthday. He was born August 13th, 1961. He is an American serial killer convicted of killing 4 women between February and July of 1999. Again, if you haven't picked up this book yet, you can find it on Amazon. It's called Serial Killer Calendar. This Day in Killer History book. The lovely Kitty Koo told me about that book, and I read it every day. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I hope everyone had a great weekend. It is hot as hell. I'm going to get hotter here where I am. This the whole week. No days under triple digits. So if you live to the east of where I am, it's going to get hotter and hotter and hotter. Sven Shoes, Marina, Rankard, good evening. Welcome to tonight's trivia. Inner Peace, didn't miss you there. Hello and welcome to tonight's trivia. All the questions tonight are on cults. Different cults in America. I've narrowed it down to cults who have only been established in America. Some of these cults, may be in America and have established, other places outside of the U.S., but they had to have started in the United States or been here in the United States. Mary Frederick, good evening. Welcome to tonight's trivia. I hope you had a wonderful weekend. Thank you for joining us tonight. We'll give it another 3 minutes for people to join us. They're just getting their notifications. They're like, hey, he's live again. There's plenty to chew on. Oh, yeah. And don't feel bad if you don't know, these cults, that the trivia is on tonight. Don't feel bad about it. A lot of people may know them, these cults by names, nicknames, that the media has given them. In that case, when those questions come up, I've tried to put it in the question itself, their nicknames. So, but these are not really obscure, like never heard of, like what? That's a real thing? Yeah. Or well, that's a real group. These all are groups that have cults that have had, anywhere from 25 to 400,000 members or more. Excuse me. They're not. So basically, what I'm saying is they're not obscure groups like that. There's only like 10 members hidden away in the Ozark Mountains or something. Although there is one group that started in the Ozarks. Rat cards, a bunch of guitars. I was at Fort Hood, Texas when the David Koresh thing happened. Were you? Fort Hood, Texas. Is there a serial killer working at Fort Hood? I've read an awful lot about the mysterious murders that have taken place, of people who were on Fort Hood, who were found murdered off of the off of the base itself. And of course, the United States Army says there's no serial killer here. No, 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 no. There's no serial killer here. David Koresh. That was the Waco, Texas. The Branch Davidians. I had to think there for a second what the name of it is. Now, an awful lot of the questions that are on tonight's trivia, I know the answers to because I'm a weird, SOB. Okay, I have spent most of my life reading and studying, about cults. I've always found them fascinating. I would never join one. I don't even like to go to the Catholic Church because, well, any religion can be considered a cult. It doesn't matter, if you have to convince someone to join and you have to do things to make them feel, like they're trapped, you're a cult. In my opinion, that's not the definition of a cult, but no serial killers, but lost lots of dead bodies. Yeah, well, there is. One of my dad's best friends had to help remove bodies after George Jones. Really? Don't forget to give this a thumbs up if you enjoyed tonight's trivia, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to get this party started. All right, look at the first one. The first screen's up here. 411, Truth, Justice, and Fun Entertainment. That's what it's all about. Buzzard, good evening. Welcome. Boring schools. This is the information that, in case you want to read it, give you a minute to read through it. This is on every single one. I'm just letting everybody notify until the end of this month. Let everyone know that the trivia has changed just slightly from its earlier content. If you haven't seen this or been here in a couple of months, good morning. Good morning to you as well. All right. And of course, viewer discretion is advised. You are watching a trivia channel, a trivia true crime channel right now. Content that I may post on this channel and on this trivia may be disturbing for some audiences. If you don't like to hear about these things, I'm not glorifying anything. All I am simply doing is giving you the facts, and you can make up your own mind if these people are guilty, what their punishment should be, and that's the way I live my life. Here are the facts. You decide what you want to do with them. But again, viewer discretion is advised. Do I have to say that again for all the different channels out there? Viewer discretion is advised. All right. Question number 1 for tonight. What is the real name of the cult that believed humans were all descendants of aliens? Is it A, Shiny Happy People Cult, the SHPC? B, the Shining Path Cult, the SPC? C, the Heaven's Gate Cult, HG? Or D, the Rialism? What is the name of the cult that believed that all people were descendants of aliens? Good evening, Callie Lisa. Welcome. And Starfire, good evening. Welcome to tonight's trivia. Hope I didn't miss anybody else. Scroll up here, make sure. Gemma. Lori Sutton's going with B. What is the name of the cult that believed that all humans were descendants of aliens? Dun, dun, dun. Those Nike shoes were discontinued, and if you find a pair online, they go for a crazy amount. I got a question about that. It's coming up tonight, Kitty Q. There's a lot more disturbing things about the Heaven's Gate cult and what they were wearing than just that, than just the brand new Nike shoes. Oh, it's all right. Scatty Nona, Lemon Pie, good evening and welcome to tonight's trivia. I know I'm not in my little window right now. You can't see me. I'm getting there. I'm closing windows and finishing up here. I forgot that I left another window open. I'm working on it. Be there just a minute. There I am. Hello. Will in his little box. All right, question number one. The correct answer is D as in dog, the realism, or however you want to pronounce it. And here is some information about the crazy freaks that believe that all humans were descendants of aliens. The UFO religion founded in 1970 in France by Claude, however you pronounce it, now known as RAL. Scholars of religious classify RAL as a new religious movement. The group is formalized as an international movement hierarchy organization. RAL teaches that an extraterrestrial species known as the Elam created humanity using their advanced technology. Repent and give me all your money. It's funny, Kitty. Right, Cart. The Church of the 18. There are actual channels out there. I know you don't want to watch them though, but there are channels of truck stop preachers. I've actually stumbled across them. They evangelize from their behind the wheel as they're actually on the roads of America, right, Cart? They do a Sunday morning sermon. I don't remember the names of the channels though, but I just ran across it on YouTube. Well, that Scientology we mentioned. Eh, some of the ones that are like that. Oops, hold on. Oh boy, chat, come back. There it is. I don't know what I clicked on there, but I accidentally closed the chat. Scientology and some of the ones other groups like that are pretty much low hanging fruit. And before we get too far into tonight's trivia, if you are a member of one of these groups, cults, churches, whatever you'd like to call them, social gatherings, circles of thought-based environments, I'm not making fun of you. Believe in whatever you want. If it makes you feel better, by all means, go for it. Just don't trespass upon somebody else or hurt somebody else. All right. Next. Question number two. The Brethren cult enforced policies that, with what some would say is a heavenly hand, meaning they condone beating members who broke the rules. What one rule did all children under 17 have? Was it A, not allowed to look at the opposite sex? B, not allowed to listen to music? C, not allowed to read or write? Or D, not allowed to play? Trailer chaplains, yeah. I I've been to a Love's and truck stops and a couple. I've been to Buc-ee's and other bigger what's it Phil America, different gas stations like big truck stops like that, where I mean they have everything in them. They even have little chapels. They have maybe 5 or 6 pews for people to to pray, to do whatever they need to do. Oh, The Brethren cult enforced policies with what some would say is a heavenly hand, meaning they condone beating members who broke the rules. What one rule did all children under 17 have? It's all right, Marina. I know a lot of people are not going to know the answers to a lot of these questions. It's all right if you don't know the answers to them. Maybe we'll learn something together tonight as we go through them. F, not allowed to watch Jersey Shore. It's a good one, Cement. Laura Sutton's going with A. My peeps is in the house. Good evening, my peeps. My peeps is going with D. I hope you had a wonderful weekend, my peeps. Question number 2. The correct answer is D as in dog. Not allowed to play at all with any other children. Doesn't matter if they're a child, a toddler, a grade school age, doesn't matter what they are. They're not allowed to play with any other children. They saw it as a sin and that they should celebrate and only play with the Lord when he comes back to actually, choose and pick them to lead themselves to the enlightened land. Kind of like Lori Vallow and, Dumbbell Chad believed that they were part of the 144,000, the chosen. Well, the Brethren believed that they were the chosen people, and they forbid any child to play. That means like no running around on the playground and playing with other children, no board games, no video games, nothing. And in case you're wondering, the Brethren is still out there in some aspect, but they have, since kind of gone underground and changed their ways a little bit, but they are still around. Question number 3. Never attended church. What happened to them? They're still around, Gemma. But this is some more information about another cult in Mexico that didn't make the list. The town of Yerban in northern Mexico is a home of a cult from the 1960s led by a former prostitute who drank the blood of those who tried to leave the cult. And you guys that's her name. You can figure out how to pronounce that. Truly believed that she was a reincarnated Inca goddess of Murta, which never existed at any time in history. She told everybody that she was the reincarnated, goddess, an Inca goddess, and she needed to drink the blood to become and stay immortal. She believed that she had to drink their blood to maintain her immortality. As many as 60 people were murdered, and she drank their blood, not just a little, but 2 cups of blood from each person, which you think might make her a little sick, but she drank it. Mind over matter, I guess. All right. Next question. Question number 3, sticking with the Brethren cult. They were founded by James Jimmy Roberts, who wouldn't allow members to use any modern devices, which included which one? A, razors to shave, B, toothbrushes, C, Band-Aids, or D, soap? Sounds like vampirism? Yeah, a little bit, but she really believed that drinking the blood of those who wanted to leave the church, kept her immortal. It didn't work. That's a lot of iron, right? E, books. Cessna 101. Good evening and welcome to tonight's trivia, Cessna. Peloton. No spin classes for you. Sticking with the Brethren cult, they were founded by James Jimmy Roberts, who wouldn't allow any member, should say any member, to use any modern devices, which included which one? Which one, ladies and gentlemen, would they not allow? They considered a modern device and wouldn't allow anyone in the Brethren Church, because they don't call themselves a cult, but they are a cult. By every single definition, they are a cult. And like I said, they're still around, but they've kind of gone off the radar underground and changed their ways a little. But the group and the movement is still around to this day. The correct answer to question 3, ladies and gentlemen, is C, as in cat, Band-Aids. They wouldn't allow any member of the church to use a Band-Aid. It didn't matter how minor the cut was or how extreme the cut was. They believed if it was going to heal, it would stop bleeding by the hands of God, would touch upon them and stop the bleeding. I kid you not. They had at least one member of their group that fell off of a scaffolding and got a pretty nasty gash, and that person ended up dying at the hospital. And James Jimmy Roberts said that person deserved to die because God did not touch upon them with his hands to stop the bleeding. Yeah. And they considered Band-Aids a modern device. Okay. That's ridiculous. What about Neosporin? Nope, no Neosporin. But I would assume so, because they didn't believe in a lot of modern, things. Well, they wouldn't allow anybody to use any modern devices, or they did allow some modern, practices for medical wise. Obviously, they took this guy to the hospital after he had lost a lot of blood, and but he ended up dying from this fall. All right, question number 4. Good evening, Amy M. In saying God put people on this earth, God doesn't want people to suffer. That's true, Amy. All right, question number 4. The Moonies, that's what the people refer to them as, is the Moonies. AKA the Unification Church was famous for several things. However, they were almost in the world's record books for what? Was it A, most members that took their own lives? B, most members married at the same time? C, most members to quit at the same time? Or D, most members to dance naked? What almost got the Unification Church in the Guinness Book of World Records? What almost got the members into the world record? Howling at the Moon. That's a good inner piece. Howling at the Moon. Moony? I had to. It's okay, Marina. That'd be close. Dancing naked would be close. I mean, maybe they're a moon in the moon, right? Question number 4. The Unification Church was famous for several things. However, they were almost in the world's record books, Guinness Book of World Record, for what? I'm just listening, Will. I'm a bit overloaded. All right, it's okay. That's going with S. A is next to S. There you go. I'm like that. Well, S. It can be any letter of the alphabet. I mean, just because I offer only 4 options, you can see a lot of people are, guess E. It's okay. Amy's going with B. biggest flash mob, which could also be D, depending upon how they did it, right? Bark at the moon. Bark at the moon. Hey, yeah. Bark at the moon. I'm gonna have to get that record out and listen to it later tonight. I love that record. Ozzy. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the correct answer to question 4 is B, as in boy, had the most members married at the same time. It was very common for the Unification Church to do what they called mass weddings. Anywhere from 40, 60, 80, 100 different couples would all get married at the same time, or they would retake their vows at the same time. But the Guinness Book of World Records, the only reason why they never put them in the actual book is because they were an actual religious church. And they said because the record was being held or was being performed by a religious organization, it excluded them from the Guinness Book of World Records. The total world's record for the most couples that they married at the time, if it would have been in the Guinness Book of World Records, was 240 couples. So that's 480 people at one time all got married. So 240 couples, though. But it was very common for them to do mass weddings at the same time. Like your random music, Will? I love music, Starfire. I have everything from Sammy Davis Jr. to Pantera to Lawrence Welk to Iggy Pop. I've got everything in between. I didn't and not just rock and roll, country, metal. I like music. I find value in all music. I've got classical, a lot of classical as well. I bet they were arranged marriages. I can't say so much if they were arranged marriages, Amy. A lot of them were members of the church, and others were prospective members of the Unification Church. Oh, here's a creepy dude. All right, I'm gonna take myself off the screen so you guys can read this one. There was once a far right cult active in the U.S. in the 1970s and 1980s that advocated white supremacy, called the Covenant, the Sword, and the Arm of the Lord. One of their religious leaders, the preacher, got away when the FBI raided him, and was last known living off the grid in northern Idaho. No joke, I met this man in the 1980s. I believe it was 1983. It could have been 85, but it was right in that time period. He reminded me of the preacher from the Poltergeist, old guy like this, and he dressed like this in a black coat, white shirt with a black hat. I swear on my life, I thought it was the preacher from Poltergeist when I met this guy. He knew he was wanted by the FBI at the time and had appeared on America's Most Wanted and Unsolved Mysteries. He was a super creepy dude. And he would preach not only about white supremacy, but how the Lord had always been, on the side of the Anglo-Saxon white man. It's a long story, but the short version of how I met this guy and how I ended up in this situation is my mother married a man who used to run guns for the Aryan Nation. The Aryan Nation wanted guns and they couldn't buy them in their areas. So he was kind of like the in-between individual. Yeah, he was an extreme racist himself, but he would buy guns and then make these transactions for them, straw purchases, whatever you want to call it. But I was on a trip with this individual who I hated with every ounce of my life. And that's when I met this creepy asshole. You can't stand polka? Polka's got merit. It's got a good beat to it and a harmony. Just have to give it a chance. Middleman, yeah. All right, question number 5. Excuse me. Any religion can be considered a cult. For those religions that are classified as a cult by the U.S. government, the government of UK, Canada, how many were started in 1967 and lasted until at least 1999 or longer? Just the year 1967. Those that are classified by the U.S. government, UK, and Canada. How many of them were started in 1967, lasted until 1999 or longer? Is it A, 100, B, 12, C, 8, D, 210? Enter P's with the correct answer right off the bat. It's 144,000. I just forgot to put it on the screen. Thank you. 144,000 has made its appearance, ladies and gentlemen. My peeps is going with A, Marina D. Was it D, Reichardt D? We have some more guesses up here. Move up. Lori's going with A, Cement D, Steph B, Catalisa D, Lemon Pie D, Starfire D, Kitiku C, Amy A. I think we have every one of them's covered. A, B, C, or D. And we have E at 144,000. Mary Frederick's going with A, 100. How many were started in 1967 and made it all the way to 1999 or longer? Question number 5. Cults come from cultus, Latin. I did not know the origin of that. Thank you very much, Lemon Pie. I appreciate that. Cessna 101 is going with B. Question number 5. How many of them have stuck around? I mean, a lot of cults have come and gone. Especially think of all those doomsday, prophecy cults out there. They all pick a day, or they think the government's after them, and they wipe themselves out. But how many of them made it more than 20 years? 22 years or longer? Probably a Y2K cult back then. I'm sure there probably were some Y2K people. I remember the Y2K, the hype over that. People thought all the computers were going to crash and we were going to be screwed. And what happened? Nothing. I didn't even see my cable TV still worked. All my credit and debit cards, nothing happened to any of them. All this like, oh, you have to stockpile food and water for months. There are some YouTube channels. All right. Y2K is coming to give me your money. Well, we were all screwed, but had nothing. Now, all right. Question number 5. The correct answer is B as in boy. Only 12 religious cults that are classified as cults by the U.S. government, the government of the UK and Canada. It started in 1967, lasted, made it 23 years, 22 years or longer. Most of them all fizzled out as the love child and the flower children all went their ways and got jobs or died of other drug overdoses or whatever happened. Culture changes. People can become disillusioned with the groups and they leave, or the group, they kill themselves off. A lot of them. And we got some real scary ones coming up still. The Dirty Dozen. Yeah. All right. Question number 6. You can say you would never fall for the lies of a cult. They could never convince you to join. Some of the world's smartest people have been suckered into joining a cult. After getting control of your mind, what is the next step almost all cults do? Is it A, get your money? B, physical control and mental control? C, stop you from communicating with your family and friends outside the group? Or D, take away your pet mountain lion? What do cults do after getting control of your mind? What do they do next? Almost all, not all, but almost all. Messa. It's funny, right, Cart? Messiah. Record D, of course. Take away their pet mountain lion. Question number 6. My peeps is going, hey, get your money. Send me your money. You can only send me $1 or $2. There's not a hell of a lot I can do. Send me your money. C, B, A, and then D for sure. Suicidal tendencies. I'll give you your credit for that. Question 6. After they get control of your mind, what is the next step almost all cults do? The next thing that almost all cults do is, the correct answer is C as in cat. Stop you from communicating with friends and family from outside of the group. They get control of your mind, then they want to separate you from everything that is going to possibly tear you away or talk you out of joining or being with the group. So they have to stop you from being able to communicate with the others. Don't talk to these people. They don't know the truth. Don't talk to them or listen to these people because they don't truly love you. There's a lot of mind, screwing that they do immediately. Once they get you to believe their core value, that either the person, an example, I'm going to use the David Koresh and the Branch Davidians for this. But David Koresh they believed that he had the answers, and everyone was seeking that answer. The answers to, is there life after death? What is my meaning on this earth? That's what people are seeking for. It doesn't matter if you join a cult or not. They want these things, and they sought them out. And you can't can gain complete control of someone if they're still listening to people from the outside who think that David Koresh is crazy. There are more cults than ever before with more members. 3 research studies indicate there are 3,000 to 5,000 groups in every area of the United States. And throughout the world, experts estimate that 6 to 10 million people have recently been involved with cults. That is as of 2021, ladies and gentlemen, 2021. 3 to 5,000 people belong to what is considered a cult. And some, you have to understand, these cults could be right in your backyard, and you wouldn't know it unless they turn up on the evening news because of something. They're out there, though. I think mainstream media is a cult. In a lot of ways, Steph, you are absolutely right. Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's dividing divide and conquer. Move everybody into group A, move everybody into group B. Don't let the people with group B talk to group A, and A doesn't talk to group B. There is no more reaching across the aisle to, understand or get something done. As long as we can keep them divided, we can keep everybody moving in 2 different lines. And we can get them marching to our beat, and we can get them to drink our Kool-Aid. Jim Jones reference in the People's Temple. Do people join cults because of loneliness, Cessna? That is a reason that people do join. They want to belong. They want to be part of something bigger than themselves. Yes. All right. Next question. Question number 7. Once a cult has control of a loved one or friend, it's almost impossible to get them out. If you kidnap a loved one to get them out, what is that procedure called under U.S. law? Yes, there are laws that act across the United States that codify, not as harsh of a penalty if you do this. Kidnap somebody who is in a religious cult to get them out. What is that law, the procedure called? Is it A, re-education, B, decultification, C, reintegration, or D, deprogramming? In case you're wondering, there are groups out there that's all they specialize in is doing this, getting people out. Brianna, Arthur, good evening. Welcome to tonight's trivia. I hope you had a wonderful weekend. Thank you for joining us tonight. Once a cult has control of a loved one or friend, it's almost impossible to get them out. If you kidnap a loved one and get them out, what is that procedure called under U.S. law? Re-education, decultification, or reintegration, or deprogramming. What is it called? A lot of D's. D, because everyone is answering D, says Reichard. I'm glad you caught it too, Brianna. All right. The answer to question 7 is D as in dog, deprogramming. Depending upon the jurisdiction and state, it's more on a state level than it is an actual county by county or city by city. But on a state level, For those who kidnap someone and remove them from a cult, um, as long as law enforcement, and there are steps that have to be taken. You can't just go nab them and then hold them against their will. You have to let authorities and and everyone else know what's going on. And if they determine that this person is at risk by being a member of this cult, most of if you get caught and you do it, some jurisdictions will turn a blind eye to it, and others will give a much, much lower sentence than kidnapping if you do it. There is no federal statute, though. It's a state by state. Question 8. Which leader had the most wives? And that's the reason why, and I'll tell you in a second, that is in quotes and in red, at the same time, with half of them being over 21 and the other half being under the age of 17. Was it A, Joseph Smith, the Mormon Church, B, Jim Jones, People's Temple, C, Marshall Applewhite, Heaven's Gate, or D, Alfred John Bretha of the 777 Church? Smelly cat, smelly cat. Lemon pie, yeah, cheese. E, Chad. Of course it's Chad. Which leader had the most wives? Reason why the wives is in red and in quotes is because none of the actual marriages to these wives was legal. It was only within their cult that this individual married them. There was no actual wedding license, marriage license that was ever filed. And in some cases, he married not only the mother, he would marry the daughter, he would marry the granddaughter, he would marry 2 or 3 members of the same family on the same event. But wives, how many wives? Who had the most wives? Gross, Marina? Yeah. Oh, this is a gross individual. I mean, not that any one of these individuals is, well, I mean, you could be a member of the People's Temple before they went to, Uganda. They were when they were in the San Francisco Bay Area, they did an awful lot of good. There wasn't anything really super creepy except for the doomsday prophecies that Jim Jones had until they left. But I mean, they did a lot of good, an awful lot of good, and a lot of people in political power, recognized Jim Jones for what he had done. He was doing things that no one else would take and spend money on or could figure out how to solve. And then it went off the rails. But each of them, I mean, Marshall Applewhite took in people that were loners, and they felt, like they were completely discarded by society because they didn't have, the degrees or social standings within their own communities. Maybe they, were just cast aside. At least they felt that way. And he brought them in and he made them feel like a member of the family. Of course, they all drank cyanide and, and barbiturates. And they all ended themselves at the same time. E, Sam from Cheers. Norm! Sometimes you want to go where everyone knows your name. I miss that show. I like Cheers. I liked Coach and Woody. All right, question 8. The correct answer is B as in boy. Jim Jones is the one who did this. Jim Jones, he would, in some of the ceremonies that he had before they left the country and they went down to Uganda, he married mass members of his own congregation. And at one day, he took as many as 11 wives. When you look at the total numbers, half of them were over the age of 21, and half of them were under the age of 17. The youngest bride, it's up to in the air. People still debate if she really was, but she was either 13 or 12. Some people say she was younger, some people say she was older, but according to the census records that I have to believe the people who actually study the census records, before they joined the cult, she would have been approximately 12 or 13 years of age, is what I have to go by. But she could have been 11. I mean, I don't know when her actual birth date is. She was just listed as how old she was in the census report. That was before her mother joined, her mother and her father joined. But Jim Jones married the mom, the daughter, same time. Did he consummate the marriage with them? Can't say. Don't know if he did that, but he was a creepy ass individual. Was an instrumental in designing the CIA mind control program. I know his father had something to do with Project Blue Book. I don't know about the mind control, but I know Project Blue Book. All right, moving on to next one. Oh, that was question 8. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we will now take a 6-minute break. Go ahead and use the facilities. Go get a snack, glass of tea, another, pounder of whiskey, whatever you need. We will be back in 6 minutes. Very, very strong. Do cults provide a lot of drugs to control? As a normal policy, Cessna 101, no. No would be the answer to that. The controlling part and how they control people is peer pressure more. Some groups do, yes, definitely dive into the hallucinogenics, or they dive into more, what they're trying to do, a spiritual awakening, and I put that in air quotes, through different drugs. But for the most part, most cults do not partake in illegal substances as part of the mind control. You can break down anyone. Doesn't matter how strong-minded they are or how weak-minded they are, and convince them of anything. You can, if you could take somebody and isolate them away from society, that's a key part. You have to have the isolation away from media, family, friends from the outside who are telling you that this is absolute whack-a-nut stuff this person's talking about. And if you can isolate them, and you keep on feeding them the same information over and over again, and then other people are coming up and telling you that this information is correct over and over and over again, just like the media is doing to all of us right now. It's mind control. It is basically a cult, but through mind control, and convincing people, well, how can all these people be wrong as well? There's got to be something to this. And most cults are run by a charismatic individual. Look at David Koresh, or Jim Jones, or, well, not so much Matthew Applewhite. He was kind of a freak. But a lot of these cults are started off by a really charismatic individual, and they're educated. They know a lot of things about the world around, and maybe the individual who's joining them doesn't know about the world around them, or what's happening overseas or in another country. So it's easy to convince them. If everybody else is going along with the program, people just kind of fall into that rut and say, I'm going to go with this. I'm going to go with this because, and they convince themselves that what they're hearing is actually true. Now, don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, that Lori and Chad, Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell, I'm always going to refer to them as that, but they were doing basically the same exact thing before we found out that they flew off to Hawaii, that JJ, and Ty Lee were dead. Way before then, they were meeting in people's homes, and they were having what they called Bible study and religious study groups. That's how these groups start. They start off small like that. One or two charismatic individuals talking about the book, or telling you about something that that it's a secret you're not supposed to know about, but they want to let you in on. That's how they start. And then they get bigger and bigger and bigger. How many people did they tell that, their doomsday prophecy to and reach out to? And how far did it go across the United States? Did people take their lives? Did they kill their wives or their husbands or their kids? How many of them actually heard this prophecy and did that? I've always wondered that question. That's why it's scary as hell that these, the groups are out there like that. You got to bounce them. Rayanne, well, thank you for stopping in. I hope you can catch it. We're here every Sunday night at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Well, not next Sunday, but every Sunday after that. I'm going to be on vacation next week, so I will not be here. Religion is so abused. The truth is hard to find. The truth is hard to find, Steph, about a lot of things in this world. I rally against, and I could stand on top of my soapbox and preach all night long about how bad when it comes to YouTube, pick a genre, pick a niche, whatever, anything from cosmetics to crocheting to true crime. There are people out there who will do anything and everything to convince you and others of something that is complete hogwash. It's like, oh, look, I just crocheted this, this blanket in 12 hours. When they actually didn't do it, they may have started a little thing, you saw it, but all you're doing is the camera's focused on the hands, and then then there's a cut, and then wow, now there's like this giant portion of it done, and the person who's doing cosmetics is telling you this cosmetic line is great because they're paid to do that. They're getting a kickback. The same thing, true crime. There are people who will steal content. They'll tell you anything and everything. They make it up and they say, yeah, I got this from the news. I got it from a well-reputable source, but they'll never give you their source. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Luzon. Good evening. Welcome. We're back. Next question. Good to take a vacation before school starts, right, Starfire? It is. All right, question number 9. Which cult promoted what they called flirty fishing? Flirty fishing, where they sent young women as young as 15 out on the streets to get men to join by having sex with them. This is absolutely true. Was it A, Heaven's Gate, B, the People's Temple, C, the Children of God, or D, the Mormon Church? Which cult promoted what they called flirty fishing by sending young women out on the streets as young as 15 to have sex with men to get them to join their church or cult, if you want to call it? Amy, Samantha, and Lemon Pie, and Starfire, question mark, and are all going with C. TikTok. You did. I was on the morning stream yesterday. I make my son breakfast every morning, even when school's in session. I make him breakfast. I believe that especially for a growing child, it's always important to start off with a well balanced diet. So for breakfast, I usually make him. He wants French toast sticks because there's only like three things like that he'll eat, and then fruit, vegetables, meat, but protein, vitamins, and then he has an apple juice with it on top of it. TikTok. that could be happening over on TikTok. I know on was it Facebook Reels? They're having a huge problem with people who are they're putting content on Facebook Reels, Instagram Reels. It's for adult, content. It's like, hey, if you want to see my lady parts, go click the link in the description, and it's like a camera taking a picture, or a video of someone provocatively dressed. That's how it started off, and then it's gotten worse and worse. And they say they can't fix that. I didn't know anything about it until my niece brought it up to me and told me about it. French toast sticks rock. Yeah. They're getting harder and harder to find, though. My son doesn't like the ones from Walmart. He only likes the ones from Kroger, and he likes the ones that they sell at Safeway, Albertsons. He's very picky about his French toast sticks. He'll eat any waffle or any pancake, blueberry, plain, whatever. I like to see American people in the kitchen. Oh, I mean, it was a brief little bit of the video, yesterday's morning stream. I was just running behind. Otherwise, I would have had all that done already. Or Americans in the Wild. Use your stale bread for French toast sticks. I would if I had stale bread. Bread doesn't last in this house very long. I only buy 2 loaves, or 3 loaves at a time. It goes pretty quick. But when I do have stale bread, I usually make croutons with it. But I guess it would work for, French toast. Purple. Good evening, Purple. Question number 9. Which cult promoted what they called flirty fishing? The correct answer to question 9 is C as in cat. Children of God. In case you're wondering, and I'm sure you'd all like to know this anyways, but according to the Department of Justice, they arrested over 30 different adults over the age of 21 who were forcing young women as young as 15 to do this flirty fishing. They were arrested and convicted, over 30 adults. Now, according to the DOJ report, it does not say if they were men and women, but it just says 30 adults were convicted, for promoting this flirty fishing, and they were convicted for what they had done. All right, next one. The Ama Shinriko Rio, whatever how you pronounce that cult, carried out an attack upon the Tokyo subway system, killing how many people with sarin gas? Was it A, 21, B, 22, C, 13, or D, 14? He has not changed at all, huh? I'm sorry, Purple. I hope he gets better soon. The sarin gas attack on the Tokyo subway system. How many people did they kill? Question number 10. Lemon Paw is going with D. Cessna 101 is going with B. I'll say B too. Why not? How many people died of sarin gas attack on the Tokyo subway system by this religious cult? They killed 14 people. Says Liza. My turn. Now they found the C. Friday. Yeah, Lisa's going with D. My peeps, D, and Mary is going with C. Question number 10. The correct answer. How many people were killed in the Tokyo subway? The correct answer is C as in cat. 13 people. 11 were actual passengers and 2 were first responders died from the sarin gas on the Tokyo subway system. Not 14, not 22, not 21. 13. Many may have died, or others may have died later on from the effects, and from, being gassed with sarin gas. But 13 people were officially killed on the subway system there. What to see. All right, next. Adolfo Costanzo, leader of a cult in Mexico in the 1980s, was popular with the drug cartels. He killed and murdered 15 people, maybe as many as 40, for one purpose only: black magic. Costanzo's reputation as a black magician and spellcaster was reinforced by his laughter and use of body parts, mainly brains, spines, organs, to form protection spells for drug lords. They believed if he killed and sacrificed these poor peasants from around, different villages, that it would give, and he would cast a spell that would be protection over the drug lords in the 1980s. The reason why they know he killed 15 is because, well, he got caught, but they also know that the other people from the drug lords, the cartels that he was working with, said that he did it 15 times, but he also killed people just because he could. He would kill them and chop them apart and use their bodies, for casting spells. And it wasn't just for drug lords. Families who wanted to, send a protection, spell to their loved ones in America, that they would find a job and, and have, be able to send money back to Mexico, for their families. They were into, okay, well, wherever this person came from, it's not my family member. I don't care. It's sick and twisted that this guy even existed, and that other people were like, yeah, okay. I mean, if he's willing to chop them up today to cast a spell, why do they not think he was going to not do it to them tomorrow? He had no rhyme or reason to who he picked as a victim. He was women, men. He didn't care. All right, next. Gaining membership over the course of the last 30 years in the US, Canada, Mexico, and UK. Some members have been kidnapped and forced to join. They refer to each others as the mentors. Who is this cult? Is it A, the Enlightened, B, the Copperfield Church, C, the Neurom Children, or D, the Sisters of the Divine? Gaining membership over the course of the last 30 years in the US, Canada, and Mexico and UK. Some members may have been kidnapped and forced to join. They refer to each other as mentors. What cult is this? Question number 11. Ignorance and superstition may make it very strange bedfellows. Yeah, they do, Mel. They definitely do. There are a lot of cults that have, superstitions. And a lot of their superstitions, if those superstitions are broken, again, using the Branch Davidians as an example, David Koresh believed that if certain things took place, that it sent their group into a heightened state of alertness because they believed that the end was coming closer. And wherever you are in this world, if you don't know anything about the Branch Davidians and the Waco siege and David Koresh, I highly suggest you read up on it. There are two things that are absolutely 100% certain about that entire thing. One is the U.S. government never needed to attack them. They didn't have to go in with tanks and shoot tear gas into the place. They knew he had a doomsday prophecy before they ever went to the compound. The second thing that you should know about the Branch Davidians is that David Koresh was losing membership faster than he could get people to join. And if they would have just let it go its course, it would have eventually petered out completely, and David would have been all by himself. Those are actual facts. I don't care if you believe in half of the crap that he talked about, but and believed in, and he wasn't a good person, but they certainly in hell didn't have to do what they did. They did. They botched that very bad. He didn't believe, he just made them believe it. Yeah. Janet Reno was wrong too. Absolutely, Amy. I mean, but there were so many things that happened around that time period. Taking Waco, Ruby Ridge, these things that the government overstepping their boundaries for what? Why did they have to do what they did? And you sit back and you look at the circumstances around those two. Ruby Ridge is different, obviously. That wasn't a cult. That was Randy Weaver and his family. But, the government came in at them. They could have just waited. David Koresh went to town every Thursday. They knew that. If they really wanted to arrest him on gun charges, like they said that's why they were there, they could have nabbed him on Thursday when he went to the supermarket. Every Thursday he went. Why did you have to do it on a different day? Why didn't you just wait until Thursday? He always drove the same truck into town with the same two people. What Janet Reno dance party. All right, ladies and gentlemen, enough of me, going on here. The correct answer to question 11 is A as in apple. When it comes to those who were possibly kidnapped and forced to join the Enlightened, that was the husband or spouse of the individual who joined. They forced couples to join together. This one was convinced that the Enlightened knew what they're talking about. This one, not so much, and wanted to go home. They said, nope, Hell no, you're staying here with us. And they kidnapped them basically and forced them to join until they actually were convinced and they stayed on their own. But the Enlightened group has been gaining membership in the United States over the course of the last 30 years, Canada and Mexico, and the UK. The Enlightened. I've only heard of D, so I had no clue. The Sisters of the Divine. The Copperfield Church is from they started in Wyoming, and I do believe that they're either in Montana or the Wyoming still. The Neroom children, they are part of a group that uses children to panhandle, is what a lot of people know them as, and they also they have different ruses. The Sisters of Divine, I mean, they've been around forever. But going on to next one. I'm not sure which slide's next. There it is. Question 12. Which one from below is a well-known cult that comes from Nigeria and from Cuba and South America that can now be found in New York City and in all places, Minnesota, USA? Is it A, the Bumba religious cult, B, the Black Axe cult, C, the Terra Pinter cult, or D, the Catholic Church? Which one from below is a well-known cult that comes from Nigeria, Cuba, and South America that can now be found in New York City? New York City? Get a rope. And in all places, Minnesota. And Mary are going with A, the Bumba, I think that's how you pronounce that, Bumba religious cult, the Catholic Church, LOL. Everyone is on an equal plane for me to make fun of. Earlier, there were questions that had Joseph Smith and the Mormon Church on there. I'm not picking on just them. I'll pick it on anybody. Like I said, any religion can be a cult. Amy M., I'm in New York City now. Ooh, and maybe Amy's part of this. Are you in this group? What did Amy guess? Maybe Amy knows, or maybe Amy's part of the group. Dun 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 dun. I'm just kidding, Amy. Just poking fun. New York City. That's where True Crime Loser is in New York City. If you've never checked out the YouTube channel True Crime Loser, I highly suggest you check out his content. And you might want to check out some of his stand-up too. He does a good little routine. Some of the funniest things that I've ever seen him do, stand-up wise, is the speech he gave at his sister's wedding. Absolutely hysterical. If you can find that online. And then he did one at an art gallery. I'm staying in a tourist trap right now. Ooh, are you in near Times Square someplace? Which religious cult comes from Nigeria, Cuba, and South America, and can be now found in New York City and in Minnesota, of all places? Is a great YouTube channel. Yeah, I like Scott. Hey, salsa cult. Get a rope. This salsa is from New York City. Get a rope. We got A for Cali Lisa. Starfire's going with A. Luza's going with A as well. All right, question number 12. The correct answer is actually B. B as in boy, the Black Axe Cult. They've also been referred to as the campus cult or the campus religion. There are two different factions of this religious cult. One started in Nigeria, and the other one started in South America and has made its way up from South America into Mexico. And both can, and they reformed, and now they're part of the same group, and they can be found in New York City and in Minnesota. And I'm not picking on these people. I'm just going to just state the actual facts. In the Minneapolis, Minnesota area and in St. Paul, they have a large population of Nigerian immigrants. And this religion came up with them as they came into America. The Black Axe Cult, or the campus cult, or campus religion. Never heard of them? Very little is actually known about them, Kitty Coo, other than they do practice a form that is close to like Santeria. And they have some practices that are along that line. Or you could actually say black magic, voodoo is kind of in it. But they're a group, and they pray, and they actually not only do they don't have like pews like a church. It's more like I guess you call like a Islamic temple. They have prayer rugs, which I have a couple in my house. Really, really nice, prayer rugs. My daughter's fiance. Well, they were engaged at one point, but not anymore. Do they call themselves the church or religious or cult? Kitty Q, they call themselves a religion. 99%, I would say, of those who, groups that are out there that are considered cults do not call themselves an actual cult. They call themselves a religion. And either they practice in a church is an actual building, or a place of worship. So, all right, next one. Hare Krishna, are devoted based on Eastern principles of meditation and chanting. Intoning the mantra will bring the individual to spiritual enlightenment. Here is a flower for you, shaved heads and chanting, but did you know they also believe you cannot truly be liberated in your life until you have experienced real sexual gratification, if you know what I mean, ladies. Hare Krishnas believe you cannot experience true enlightenment until you have experienced real sexual gratification, ladies. Cults are merely extreme practices. It's like a lot of things. Yeah, there's extremism in every religious or belief system out there. All right, next. Cults that are preoccupied with preparing for the end of the world are often called what? A, revisionist cults. B, doomsday cults. C, New Testament cults. Or D, true crime YouTubers. Meep. Good evening, Meep. Meep, meep. Welcome to tonight's trivia, Meep. Meep is going with B, Doomsday. Cessna B, Amy, Marina, and Luna all going with B. Cults that are preoccupied with preparing for the end of the world are often called what? Starfire is going with B. Mel B, like Lori and Chad. He's great. Tony the Tiger. My peeps is going with B. My peeps, my meeps. We got meeps and peeps and everything else in between. Cults that are preoccupied with preparing for the end of the world are often called what? What are they often called? Question number 13. And all of these are real, even the last one. You can, some people who rally around true crime YouTubers and believe that everything that they say is the gospel. They could be, preparing for doomsday prophecies as well. Preppers. I don't practice Santeria Sublime. I haven't heard that song in a long time, Callie. Doomsday Preppers. Whole channels. I mean, different shows that are on. I think A&E and Discovery Channel. I think all of them have done different variations on Doomsday Preppers. I'll admit, I have some of that in me, as a person. But it's just I like to think of it more as preparedness for anything. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. I mean, I have, dry goods. I mean, I don't have a bunker, where I have, those buckets of food. I have canned goods. I have, a good supply of bottled water, and I have a filtration system. And yes, I do have a bug out bag that I carry with me. My friend Tim has the same thing. But we're not doomsday preppers. We just believe in being prepared for whatever. And it's come in handy more than once. When the end comes, well, it comes. Yeah. I ain't got no crystal ball. All right, question 13. The correct answer to this one is B as in boy. They're often called doomsday cults. Although revisionist cults and New Testament cults also have a belief in the world is going to end. New Testament cults believe that, God is coming back and the 144,000 and all that. The New Testament cults believe in that. That is a very strong aspect of their belief system, that they will have to be relieved of this life to cross over to the other side of the veil. That stuff is not new to Chad and Lori. Revisionist cults believe in the same type of practices, but they believe that Jesus actually walks among the earth right now. They just haven't been, the best way to put it? They haven't done enough to see him. I guess be the best way to put it. All right, going on to the next one. Leave Britney alone. Leave Britney alone. What U.S. government agency conducted the unnecessary raid on the Branch Davidians' home? I call it a home. I don't call it a compound on purpose because it was a home. Was it the FBI, B, ICE, C, Homeland Security, or D, the IRS? That's why some of them decide to kill children and just save them. Case of real earthquakes. The bug out bag that I have, that's in the trunk of my car, or I have it in my truck whenever I'm gone somewhere. In there, I was able to use the first aid kit in it I stopped at a rest stop, and this lady, she had a nosebleed, and they couldn't get it under control. And I had those little, um, what do you call them? That you break them and then it wakes people up. But we were able, and I had bandages as well. They were using toilet paper to try to stop a nosebleed. I mean, probably would have worked eventually, but at least I had it there. I was able to help in that situation because I had a first aid kit. It's more than just a first aid kit with band-aids and and tape. It's pretty extensive size first aid kit. Smelling salt. Yeah. Earthquakes are common in my part of the world. Yeah. Never know where the next volcano erupts. I mean, hell, I'm in Washington State. I was at the Lookout Point when Mount St. Helens erupted the first time. That's what, 9 miles from the observation deck, by where the you put a quarter in and you look through a telescope, up at the mountain. We were there when Mount St. Helens blew the first time, and we were like, even where I live today, everything here got, I don't know, 6 to 8 inches of ash where I live today, and I'm hundreds of miles from Mount St. Helens now. But this entire area was blackened. We had no sunlight for, it seemed like days, but it was probably a couple of days. But it was just gray out. All that ash was in the sky. How long can you survive if you never get any sunlight? Comes in handy. Was B and C around in the 90s? ICE has always been around in some fashion. It's immigration control and enforcement. They've always been around in some fashion. Homeland Security, I don't think so. I don't think Homeland Security was around, back then. But oops, that narrows it down. There are only 3 options now. It's just pure investigators. They say use tampons to stop a nosebleed. Killed those children on the compound? Yeah. We did it all in the name of law enforcement, ladies and gentlemen. Get myself back in my little window here on Homeland Insecurity. Wow, crazy. All right, question number 14. The correct answer is A as in Apple, the FBI. The FBI was involved in not only Waco, they were also involved in Ruby Ridge, going after Randy Weaver. And for what? I asked that, and it's a serious question. For what? What did they do that they had to do it right then and there and cause loss of life? All in the name of the Patriot Act, Homeland Security. All right, going on the next one. Did you know there is an active cult in Florence, Carolina called the Reese Church of Enlightenment, or the RCE, that believes serial killer Pee Wee Gaskin is a being from another time and another dimension? According to the last accounting of members, there are 36 members of this church cult. They don't have an actual church they practice out of, though. You have to know a member to be invited to their prayer group and services. They practice a form of witchcraft and will only marry other members. They have taken part in group sex. There are 2 members, both men, who run the church cult. This is a real thing, ladies and gentlemen. They are a group that believes that Pee Wee Gaskin, the serial killer, is a man from another time and dimension. Pee Wee Gaskin. I kid you not. They're called the RCE Group, and they are listed as a group that the government is watching. But we don't watch churches and religions because we have separation, right? Right? The RCE Church or group. All right, next one. Question number 15. Have you ever heard of the Order of the Solar Temple? Well, they were real. They all died in murder suicides back in the 1990s. Question is, who did they believe they were the descendants of? Was it A, Joseph Smith and the Mormon Church? B, the Church of the Holy Mountain Lions? C, the Knights Templar? Or D, the Queen Elizabeth Royal Guard? Have you ever heard of the Order of the Solar Temple? Well, they were real. They all died in a murder suicides back in the 1990s. Question is, who did they believe they were the descendants of? We got Mary going with A, Calilisa, Kitty Q, my peeps, and Amy are all going with C. Is there no one that believes that it could be B, the Church of the Holy Mountain Lions? No one? C for Starfire and Cessna. Mel's going with C as well. Inner Peas. Inner Peas goes with C as well. And it doesn't believe it could be the Church of the Holy Mountain Lions. The Order of the Solar Temple. Inner Peas B. Thank you. I couldn't think of another option for this one. I'm not kidding. That where I got this trivia question, it only gave 3 options. I was like, I got to come up with a 4th one. And I was like, how about the Church of the Holy Mountain Lion? I mean, that sounds like it could be real, right? I mean, people worship Bigfoot. I'm not kidding. There are people who worship Bigfoot. It's sad to think what happened to some of these people that made them or put them in a situation that thought, oh yeah, this sounds good, right? Marina is going, no idea, A? All right, question number 15. The correct answer is C as in cat. They believed that they were the descendants of the Knights Templar. They weren't, but they believed it. And when the authorities closed in on the Order of the Solar Temple, they all either killed other members or they committed suicide. This was in the 1990s, early 1990s. Barry Morphew is their leader. Barry couldn't lead anything. I shouldn't say that. He's innocent, allegedly. Question number 16. The Heaven's Gate called all committed suicide or were murdered. Either way, they're all dead. They believed they would be taken home on a spaceship that was coming behind what asteroid? Was it A, the RG3, B, the Swift-Tuttle Comet, C, the Hale-Bopp, or D, the Halley's Comet? They could do a DNA testing thing now. They could. But too late for that, Kitty Cute, because they all gone. They all gathered together and took their own lives or murdered each other. Heaven's Gate cult believed that they were going to be taken home on a spaceship that was hiding behind a comet. Now, you think about all the things that that religious cults have to convince people of, using David Koresh and them again, because I just happen to know a lot about them. But the Branch Davidians, David Koresh could be a Messiah. I don't know. If I was introduced to that and somebody told me that this was our enlightened leader, I could be brainwashed into believing that. But how hard was it to convince people like Applewhite did that they were going to be taken home on a spaceship that was hiding behind a comet that was hurling towards our atmosphere? You have to. That's a special another level of having to convince people. Hence the reason why some of the members did not take the barbiturates and cyanide and were killed. There were a couple of members of the Heaven's Gate cult that were murdered. E.T. phone home. Scroll up. Too late to put them through the test, yeah? To let them sleep with their wives and children and all the other crazies. Unfortunately, we can't fix stupid. No, you can't fix stupid. See my last video with him and his daughters. Question number 16. Excuse me. The Heaven's Gate cult all committed suicide or were murdered. Either way, they're all dead. They believed they would be taken home on a spaceship that was coming behind what asteroid? Question number 16. All right, question number 16. The correct answer is C as in cat, the Hale-Bopp comet or asteroid. I'm not sure which one it is. That's why I didn't put it as either comet or asteroid. I wasn't sure. But they believed their spaceship, their ride home, was coming behind the Hale-Bopp. Now, think about how long astronomers and everyone knew that this Hale-Bopp comet asteroid was coming towards our atmosphere, and they believed that their spaceship was behind that. Is why they couldn't be detected, and they all yet believed it. The Heaven's Gate cult were either all murdered or took their lives on March 19th through the 26th of 1997. They all wore brand new Nike shoes, black pants, and a black turtleneck shirt. Basically, they dressed exactly like Steve Jobs of Apple. Higher level members covered their bodies with purple sheets while the rest got black sheets, except for Matthew Applewhite, who got a red sheet. They laid on top of their beds. Beds are made, as you can see, and then they placed a thin veil over the top of their bodies after they took the concoction that would kill them. Am I sure about which? That they dressed exactly like Steve Jobs? Yes. Raylene Lisness. Welcome, Raylene. Welcome to tonight's trivia. We only got a couple more questions left, but you're more than happy to watch it and rewind afterwards. But they dressed basically like Steve Jobs. Black pants, black turtleneck, and black tennis shoes. Well, they're black and white tennis shoes. As you can see, two members with their feet sticking out at the end of the beds. I wonder what that was like, though, because they all slept in bunk beds except for Matthew Applewhite. All those bunk beds all being purchased from, multiple. I'm assuming there's no store out there that has that many sets of, metal bunk beds. But that buying all those bunk beds, why do you guys need all these bunk beds? That'd be my question. That wasn't far from where my brother lives. But wasn't it in like San Diego where they did this, or was one of the surrounding areas around there? For some reason, that's what's in my mind. I don't remember for sure, but in my mind, I think it was around San Diego. But anyways, moving on to the bonus question. Oh, no, this is about the Cult Awareness Network. CAN is an anti-cult organization created by deprogrammer Ted Patrick that provided information on groups it considered cults, as well as support and referrals to deprogrammers. Did you know the Jonestown Institute and the Office of the Department of Justice with the U.S. government tracks cults and their activities? Several other branches of the U.S. government track cults as well. However, they only track groups and cults that have been deemed to be a hate group, a cult, or pose a risk to society at large. Crazy world go around. That's true. Thought it was Haley's Comet. But if you're wondering, the other branches of the U.S. government that track cults, the FBI tracks cults. They're the next largest group that tracks cults. But the Department of Justice is the main group that they, along with that tracks cults for the U.S. government. But other groups, are out there that track them as well. I'm sure the IRS, if the IRS is tracking, and following people that are part of the, independent political scene, if they're tracking them and putting them through extra scrutiny, for what they're doing, I'm sure that there's other groups out there that are doing the same thing for whatever. I don't know why different groups or branches of the government do what they're doing. Alrighty, bonus question time, ladies and gentlemen. You can't have a trivia night without bringing up the good old Osho, the Bhagwan Rajneesh. These crazy loons tried something so devilish, today it's laughable. What did they do to try to gain control of the city government in Oregon where they lived at the time? Was it A, mailed bags of dog poo to the city council? B, poisoned salad bars? C, mailed bombs to city leaders? Or D, slept with city leaders' daughters? I got A. Lisa and Kitiku are going A. Cement Amy and Raylene are going with B. Marina is going with A as well. The Bhagwan Rajneesh. I remember going to go visit my friend, in Oregon, and met some of the Bhagwan Rajneesh, members. That was a unique day. Not crazy. Not to be B. The Teehee. A. Teehee. Purple's going with A. Mailed bags of dog poo to city council. Starfire going with B. He got away. Did he answer later? Did who get away? What did the Bhagwan Rajneesh and their group do to try to gain control of the city council where they lived in Oregon? Who? The leader. Meep is going with C. Mailed bombs to city leaders. They poisoned the rabbit food. Mel Stiller says. Bonus question number 1. What did they, Bhagwan Rajneesh and their group, do to try to gain control of the city government in Oregon where they live? Ladies and gentlemen, the correct answer to the first bonus question is B, as in boy. They purposely introduced bacteria and E. coli into salad bars around the city. The city council used to meet, and after they met, they used to go to a restaurant across the way where they all would have, like, the salad bar or something like that. So they figured if we make them all sick and they die, well, maybe they'll die, we can put and implant our own person into the city council. The Bhagwan Rajneesh group poisoned the salad bars with E. coli and other bacteria on purpose. So yes, they tampered with the rabbit food. So love salad bars. There isn't any salad bars that I know of around here anymore where I live. There used to be a lot of them. Not anymore. They wanted to get votes, right? Yes, they did. They wanted to install someone else into the city council that was going to, because the city council was looking at, kicking them out of town, forcing them out of their area. And if they figured if they get enough votes and people on the city council, they couldn't do it. So they basically wanted to install their own puppets. Nothing that a little poo throwing can't solve. That's true. All right, next bonus question. J.Z. Knight. Maybe you have forgotten this madman. He was the leader of the Ratha school. Who did he tell everyone he got his knowledge from? Was it A, badger at the zoo? B, a mountain lion on a walking path in the park? C, a 35,000-year-old spiritual being without a body? Or D, a homeless man from San Francisco on crack? J.Z. Knight. I've seen gross things done in salad bars. Back in the day, I used to work for Country Harvest King's Tables. I started off working in the actual restaurant itself, but then I switched to menu development. But they had a huge salad bar. It was a buffet, King's Table buffet restaurant, Country Harvest buffet. C sounds crazy enough to be the correct answer. Amy and Marina are going with C as well. And her piece is going with good old Chad. Who did he tell everyone he got his knowledge from? Cessna 101 is going with C as well. Starfire C. A 35,000-year-old spiritual being without a body. At least a badger at the zoo. C for chud. Bonus question number 2. The correct answer, ladies and gentlemen, Mary tuning in with C. The correct answer to the second bonus question is C as in cat. J.Z. Knight believed that he was enlightened with the knowledge of where the world was going and how he was supposed to lead from a 35,000-year-old spiritual being that had no body. This entity, I guess you could call it, would come to him and speak to only him. And he told everybody that he was the only one who could see him. A 35,000-year-old spiritual being came to him and him only. E, crazy Lori Dingbell. All right. All the questions tonight, 1 through 16, came from either Trivia Boss King Trivia Incorporated or Ponley. The 2 bonus questions come from me, but all of the questions tonight on cults are rated a 5 out of 10. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, I have 70 books. We counted them up yesterday. It's an entire bookshelf on just cults. That's how I've always been interested in cults and why people fall for what they believe. How did you do tonight? If you wish to, it is completely optional to give yourself a grade. Did you get 12 to 16 right, 8 to 11, 4 to 7, 1 to 3, or E, mountain lion and a Yugo correctness? Add 2 points if you got the bonus questions correct as well. Even though I couldn't watch most of it, I really enjoyed this trivia night. I'm glad you enjoyed it, Mel. And now I got to turn this thing off. There. Stay safe out there. You never know who could be standing next to you or knocking at your door. That's absolutely true, Purple. It's plausible. My brother was once in that went by. My brother was once in one you mentioned earlier. Ooh. Now, there are a couple of different ones that I wanted to include in the trivia night. There's a cult that is from Korea. My sister's husband's, his son from his first marriage, he was in the United States Army and he was stationed in Korea, and he actually got involved in it. And that church has now come into the United States. I can't remember what the name of it is, but I wanted to, I wanted to talk about that cult. And some of the other ones I wanted to talk about Scientology and put them in here, but I had, I had to exclude some of the cults that are out there or religious groups that are out there because, well, I don't know who's watching and who's going to take offense to these questions. When you deal with religion, and regardless if it's a cult or a church or whatever it is, religion, and as a whole, people take it very personally. If you make fun of their belief system or what they are part of. And you kind of have to tread a fine line there. Now, YouTube has decided already that if you're going to watch this later on and rewind after the stream is over with, you must be logged into your YouTube account in order to watch it. It is age gated already. I hadn't even done the trivia night. I'm still doing the trivia night. They decided that it is age gated. No one under age 18 can watch it or unless they're logged into their account. That's the world I live in. I have to deal with it. Well, and Scientology, I mean, when I was talking about people who are smart, who have gotten involved with cults and religious groups and stuff like that. I mean, look at all the different people who are, part of Scientology. I mean, I'm not making fun of the group. You believe in what you want, you know. I hope I didn't disrespect anyone tonight. No, God, no, Kitty Q, you did not. I'm not a very religious person, but I also want to engage in religion. My beliefs are my own, and I mean no disrespect to anyone. Same here, Kitty Q. I don't mean any disrespect to anybody either. I just had to tread a fine line with the questions that I put on here for tonight. Well, YouTube doesn't have to worry about me. I'm a tad over 18. Well, you have to be logged in. You have to be, no, it will not show to anyone under the age of 18, and it will not show to anybody who is not logged into an actual YouTube account. You will see an actual black screen with the words across it that says that, this is age restricted after I'm done with it tonight. Now, I've already petitioned that. That could be right now. It could be forever. But I clicked on, review. I mean, how do you age gate something that I haven't even done yet? They don't see the questions. They didn't know what the feedback or anything I was going to say was, right? It just because it's talking about cults that it's somehow too sensitive. Yeah. You logged in? I'm logged in. I've been 39 for years. My mother-in-law always says, see, I was 18 when I had your wife, plus 18. So, yeah, that's how old I am. I'm like, okay. Old enough to know and still too young to care. That's how she always, the other thing she always tells me. Old enough to know better, but still too young to care or something like that. Great lady. Thank you, Will, and the mods and chat. I appreciate all the hard work you put in. Oh, thank you, Kitty Q. I appreciate you being here with us. I hope everyone enjoyed it. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. I'm hoping that's my goal before the end of the year. If I have 20, 25 people in the trivia, I'm hoping, it'll get to, I don't know, 50, 75, whatever, people we can attract to actually want to take part in this. But I'm hoping that somewhere along the line, I hit at least 50% of the people, who are in the stream to actually give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down. I haven't been able to get anywhere near 50% yet. Then I don't ask for much except for a thumbs up and subscribe if you like my content. I lied about my age so much. I lied about my age. I have a funny way of looking at my age. I look at my age in kind of a weird, twisted way. My wife has talked about this on the Taco podcast. But I figure if I live past New Year's Eve, on your headstone, they put that year on your headstone. You died January 1st. They put that year on your headstone. When people are walking through the cemetery and they see a headstone, they say, oh, look, this guy was born in this year. He died in this year. That's how old they were. They don't go, oh, man, that guy was 2 weeks shy of his birthday. Or I wonder how close he was to his birthday. Some headstones just have the birth year and the day that, the year that they died. I get credit for it. So I figure, why wait until my birthday to celebrate it? I celebrate it January 1st or 2nd. 'Cause I get credit for it on my headstone. So, not that anybody would be able to walk past my headstone. You know, I'm not sure what I'm going to do if I'm going to be buried, cremated. I have a spot in our family mausoleum back home. So if it would cost so much money though to transport me back home, just to stick me into a marble vault. Okay, there's 18 in the chat. You have 18 thumbs up. There you go. I'm a woman, LOL. We like to be 10 years younger if we can pass it off. Really? I didn't know that. I'm not being serious. I didn't know that. Now 19. Because each and every thumbs up or thumbs down, it counts as an interaction. I'm going to be cremated. I want my kids to take the rest. Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to have. I mean, I've got two homes. I inherited the other one. I haven't been there in like 4 years, 5 years. I really have to get up there to see it though. I've got a home in northern Idaho, and I've got the house that I live in here. I live in, well, here. My ashes will spread along my favorite seaside location. There you go. Has anybody ever watched Wired? It's a YouTube channel, Wired, and they do the autocorrect interviews or autocomplete interviews. Wired also does interviews with they have a card and they rip off the the rest of what people have been Googling about famous people. Well, they have one where they do if they just recently released with a mortician. They call it mortician support. But he was saying on there, I can't remember what his name is though, but that there are actually very few laws across the United States when it comes to how you dispose of someone's human remains. Some jurisdictions require that you get a permit. They won't let you just go out downtown and pour the urn out in the middle of the sidewalk. But there are some restrictions depending upon location. God knows, we have never done it. I love walking around cemeteries. Well, cool, Callie. Lisa, I don't know how I got 31. But according to my metrics I'm looking at here, the highest we got was 27 people. So it must be people coming in and just giving a thumbs up. That's cool. Well, 27 sustained. That means they stuck around long enough to at least listen to it. But I like it. I'm not going to complain. Thank you to each and every one of you who gave me a thumbs up. I like walking around in cemeteries too, Meep. Where I live, though, a lot of the cemeteries are just flat nothingness. They don't allow markers to be above ground. You have to find an older cemetery where they allow up above the ground stones, markers. Otherwise, they're very nothingness. There's nothing there. But I don't know. Me and my wife have had conversations with the Neptune Society, where you can prepay, for your final arrangements. I don't know what I'm going to do, to tell you the truth. I want them to think if they spread my ashes, then I'm in the wind. I don't want them to feel bad about going to my grave and putting flowers or whatever. Yeah, but speaking of flowers on grave, I was reading about Swinging Joe DiMaggio, the baseball player, Hall of Famer. After Marilyn Monroe passed away, I think it was for 20 years afterwards, he would constantly go and refresh every week or month or something like that. I can't remember exactly. But after Marilyn died, he went to her grave for like 20 years afterwards and put fresh flowers on her grave. And quite often, not like once a year, but like, it was either once or twice a month kind of thing. But until his health, deteriorated to the point where he couldn't do it himself. But Joe DiMaggio did that. Yogi Berra is buried in a cemetery in your neighborhood. Oh, Yogi was funny. Very interesting fellow. Very interesting life too. More people are cremated today. He really loved her. Yeah, he did. Yeah, apparently, I couldn't see him doing that if he really wanted to get back at her. I mean, because it's like, you divorced me, goodbye. Like a lot of people are, you know. But they divorced, and I think it kind of like broke his heart. He never could get past it. He never remarried after him and Marilyn divorced. You look like a sheriff, Mr. Will. Do what? Thank you, I guess. I am nowhere in law enforcement. I went to school, I got a college degree, but that was in media, not in like law enforcement law. I went to the same college as Brian Kohlberg, graduated from Washington State University. Very protective of Maryland. I'm donating my body to science. It's free. The body farm's closed though. I wonder if they've reopened another one or if they're ever going to. I know that you can still donate your body to science. I mean, I'm an organ donor. If there's anything left of this once I'm done, I mean, if hell, science can have it, or give it away to somebody else that it'll work, help. Cheaper for first. I don't know the people's reasons, but I don't want my family to feel obligated to be somewhere at some time. Yeah, I understand that sentiment exactly. Kohlberger, whatever. Yeah, Brian, the man who allegedly killed the 4 students at the University of Moscow, Idaho campus, University of Idaho, Moscow campus. WSU is here. All right, just imagine that I'm pointing at a map. University of Idaho is like right there. I mean, it's almost impossible driving from Washington State into the University of Idaho, from one college campus to the other, to know where one campus stops and the other one starts. I mean, because in between the two colleges, I mean, the two heads of the universities or campuses are pretty far apart. But in between here, that distance in between them is a lot of agricultural land that is studied. It's test crops and stuff like that the universities are using, along with wildlife animal hospital, where they have an outdoor area where you can actually see bears and stuff like that. They're behind fences and stuff, but you can go there and actually see them. These are animals that are sick or they have something else wrong with them. So, but it's impossible to go from one to the other. I right now where I'm sitting, right here in this chair, I am approximately 120 miles from Pullman, Washington. Well, no, I'm 120 miles to Colfax, and then Colfax to Pullman is probably another 17 miles ish. I mean, if I could go in a straight line as a crow flies, I mean, it wouldn't take me that long to get there at all. Yeah, the suspect. Yeah. But I never lived where, I mean, since I went to school there, the town has changed vastly. And where he lived and the apartment complex that he lived in, I never lived anywhere near there. I lived on the opposite side of town, off campus housing. I don't know where he lived on campus, but he also was in he lived really close to the it's called a grad student housing unit, which is over here, and I lived over on this side of town. So I know where it is. It's always been there. It's been remodeled really nicely since I lived there. Yeah. Hell, we got what? Chad Daybell. His trial starts April 1st next year. I'm sure there'll be plenty of cases that'll pop up in the news between now and then that are just as shocking, if not, horrifying and shocking. I mean, that's the world we live in. Murder rates are up. Abuse of elderly and children up. The it was just like a lot of times, and I hate to say it over and over again and repeat myself, but I knew this was going to happen. Psychologists knew, and they still know, people cannot be confined like, when we went through with COVID, everything was shut down and they lost all their support networks and people lost touch with each other. I mean, you can't do that to society as a whole, shut it down. And all those people who were keeping track on Uncle Bob or Larry from down the street, who were just a little bit close to the edge. Well, those people have gone off the edge now. I hope your vacation is amazing. We will miss you, but also be excited that you are enjoying yourself. Well, thank you, Kitty Q. So I'm leaving on Monday. The first 4 days, in case you guys are not aware of this, so I'll tell you guys again. So the first 4 days that I'm leaving, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then into Thursday, when I leave, I'm going to a cabin in the middle of the Cascade Mountains. I'm turning my cell phone off, my tablet. I'm not going to have any kind of electronic devices at all. The cabin that I have rented, this is not the first time that I've been there. It's a safe area. So don't worry about me getting eaten by a mountain lion or a bear. I'm sure that they're there, but you take precautions. You know exactly when they're going to be out. Mountain lions and bears don't come out and into an area like this, but they can. I'm sure that they've watered in and out of this area quite a bit. But I'm just going to sit and relax and do nothing. That's my plans. True, I could go fishing because it's right on the lake, and I could do anything, a number of different things. I could go hiking. I can jump in the lake, do whatever I want. As far as I know, there's all the cabins that are there. I think mine in the one on the absolute opposite end, which is down by the cove where the boat dock is, I think is the only two that are being rented this coming week, midweek. I'm going Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then I'm leaving on Thursday. But I have to find some way to get all of this out. This and all of this drives me, absolute bonkers. You can only put up with so much depravity in the world before you start to look at it in a negative way and think that everything's going to hell. And in certain aspects, the world is going to hell. At least it's not going to be the world that I wanted to leave, for my son. But there's a lot of good people out there in this world still, and a lot of people who are out there and who are making sure that there is morals and ethics and everything else that, and the next generation will have that. Yeah, every generation says the same thing about, what's going on behind them or going on in the future. But anyways, so that's for the first 4 days. Then after that, I will be in Chehalis, Centralia area, not in town itself, but that's closest to towns where I will be. And I'm going to be there for a golf tournament that I play in every year for charity. It's where we raise money for homeless veterans and for St. Jude's Hospital for Children. I do. I will. What about duck hunting? I don't. Well, Luza, I don't know if you're allowed to actually duck hunt where I'm going to be, because that would be discharging of a firearm in city limits. There's an actual city where I'm going to be. It's just not right where I am. It's down the road, let's just say. The place where I'm going to be at in this cabin, you can't even drive up to the cabin. You drive into a parking lot, and then you have to walk up a path. Everything you bring in, you bring out. And there's like a guest book that everybody sign. Each cabin has a guest book. You sign in the guest book, and it's booked through a company that is kind of like Vrbo, but it's not Vrbo. It's a different company, but they work like Vrbo. That each cabin is owned individually, but there's one company that it has control of them all and rents them out. And you have to go online, you book it, and it's expensive. I could stay in a 5-star hotel for cheaper than what I'm going to be doing, but I'm off. I mean, and they have nothing. I can wake up whenever I want, make myself a cup of coffee, watch the sunset, sunrise. If I want to go fishing, they have, paddle boat. Each cabin has a paddle boat and a canoe. I could go out on the water and just canoe around, do nothing, just think of, contemplate life, whatever I want to do, or nothing at all. And I plan to do nothing at all for those 4 days. Thank you, Will, for another great trivia night. You worked so hard for us. We will miss you next Sunday. Everyone have a nice, relaxing weekend, and Will, enjoy your vacation. Thank you, NRPs. Thank you, everyone. I'm going to wrap it up there as well. But thank you, everyone, for being here with us tonight. Again, I can't suggest this enough. Kitty Coo, great book. Thank you again. If you want to read another great book, Endless Forms of Most Beautiful, Fractal Geometry. You have no idea how much of it is around you. I just finished that last night. So now I'm looking for another book to read. I'm not sure what it's going to be. Maybe I'll take it with me. Maybe I won't. But either way, thank you again, everyone. You all have a terrific week ahead. Thank you. Bye. Thank you, Cessna.